Alright guys, so you get a hole in your wall from a plumber and you need to fix it. So let's do it. We had a little issue here in the bathroom. We have a tub over here, and then this is the back part of where our faucet and stuff is. And so unfortunately they had to open a little hole here in the wall to be able to get to that pipe. We do have an access over here on this side right here, but it just wasn't big enough to get in there and put this shut-off valve that we needed to put in there. So we had to open up a little hole, and now we're gonna fix it. So you're gonna need a few basic things. It'll take about 10 minutes to get together, and then you'll have to let it dry and stuff. But let's go ahead and get into it. This is what you're gonna use. So we have a scrap piece of wood, or a couple of scrap pieces of wood. You'll see why in a minute. If you can, we're gonna use the same piece that they took off. You know, if they did it right, it came out in one piece. You'll be able to use that piece. If not, you'll need another little piece of drywall that you can cut and fit in there. A drill and your screws. I forgot my drill, but I gotta go grab it. We're using 1 1/4 inch so that it doesn't go through. Your tape is fiber mesh tape. They have paper tape. You can use what you want. And a small spatula and a small little tray for the mud. And we're gonna use 5-minute easy sand. All right, so this stuff dries fast. We'll be able to set it and it'll dry pretty quickly. Time is 4:43. We're gonna run a timer. See how long it takes us. All right, let's go. First step. We're gonna take our scrap piece of wood. You can either run one across this way and across this way. We're a little bit tight on space. We're just gonna run it this way. First thing we're gonna do is put this piece of wood and grab it to the drywall that's already there, so that we can then put our piece that we're gonna fit into it onto this piece of wood. So you'll see. Alright, so I popped that access panel. I can just slide it in from here. If you can't, you'll just stick your piece of wood in like this. Alright, if you don't have an access panel where you can hold the piece of wood, I usually just put a small screw, one of the drywall screws, in the middle of the piece of the wood. I slide it into the opening, and then I'll use that screw to hold the piece of wood while I screw the other screws that are going to go into the existing drywall that's already there. I just didn't think about everyone not having an access panel when I was recording, but there is a way to do it with no access panel. Alright, and so there, we've got our piece. These two pieces are going to grab this drywall and the piece of wood. So I'm going to put some pressure on the back. Alright, we got those first, and I'm not worried about hitting any pipes because I made sure that my screws were long enough to get through the drywall and to the wood, but not go all the way through. So we have to countersink them a little. So these are a little deeper in. Same thing up here. Solid backing for our piece. If you were able to save the piece that they took out, then you can just come in and reuse that piece. And you may want to clean up the edges a little bit. So that it goes in flush. You also cut these edges like that in the bead. Alright, so I'm cutting these at an angle, so when I put it in there, there'll be a little channel. Alright, and I'm gonna do the same on the wall, just kind of that little corner, trim it down. screwing the screws into there, make sure you're not going too close to the edge, because if you do, it'll break that corner. It'll crack because it's so small. So I usually go about an inch in from each side, not too close to the edge. And make sure that you sink them in so that you can cover them with the mud. Alright, there you go. Alright, we're 5 minutes in. Alright, and I'm only going to mix a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and have this cake ready, so when I mix it, it's ready to go. We'll add some water. Just a little bit, mix it up, and if we need to add a little bit more, we can. Alright, so it's a little bit too dry still. You can see the clumpiness over here. We're gonna add a little bit more, just a tiny bit though. Because this stuff, if you add too much, it'll be too watery. With this 5-minute mud, you guys, once you mix water in it, it automatically starts to get hot, and there's a chemical reaction. That's why they call it hot mud. Alright, so if it's still a little too watery, you can let it sit for a couple seconds, 15-30 seconds, and it'll start to get a little bit thicker. But we're going to go ahead and mix it up. We're going to get a little inside the cracks that we have here. Alright, so we filled that. I'm going to take our tape, our utility knife. Short. Alright, there we have it. And this has gotten a little bit thicker already. And we're just going to cover the whole square. Don't try to just do the areas where the tape is at.
I'll be right back. Like 15-20 minutes.
Okay, bring them out. there you have it, guys. 11 minutes. I should have put some tape right here, so put tape, guys. But that's the first coat. It's already getting a little bit harder, and yeah, we're gonna let that dry a little bit, maybe 30 minutes, and then we'll come back. Took 12 minutes to seal it up, everything. Try to leave it as smooth as possible with your spatula before it dries, and then that way you don't have to sand as much. So the uglier you leave it, the more you're gonna have to sand. But it took me 12 minutes to put the wood, put the piece, and tape it. We don't have any texture here on this wall, it's just smooth. But if you have texture, then you have to wait, sand it, and then add texture after and paint it. But this is smooth wall. I'll probably 30 minutes. I'll come back right now. It is 4:56. So you guys can see. All right, guys, we're back. It is 5:24. All right, and so we've got a sponge and a little bit of water in here. That's all we have. All right, they do sell the drywall sponges. I probably have one somewhere in the back. It's like 5 degrees outside. I don't want to go outside and look for it. So I found an old dish sponge, and I'm going to use the sponge side. This, as you can see, the edges are completely dry over here. This is still moist, but it's hard to the touch. So we want it like that because that way we can sand it better. And we're doing this method so we don't get a bunch of sand everywhere, even though I've already got a mess here, but this is for you guys. And basically you get the sponge wet. Right here we have some ridges, and just feather out the edges is what we're doing here. All right, just feathering out the edges. There it is. If you have texture on your walls, that is enough right there to put the texture. You won't be able to see where the repair was, and you texture it either with the orange peel or the knockdown texture. Since we have smooth walls here, I'm gonna let this dry completely and do another coat, just like a light skim coat. So we'll come back in another hour or so. But basically, that's it. If you've got texture, you can go ahead and let it dry completely. So this hot mud, when they say 5-minute mud, it's not necessarily like 5 minutes and it's completely dry. It's 5 minutes that you have to work it, and then it starts to not be workable, and then you still have to let it dry like regular drywall. So probably best thing, at least 2 hours. Let's see what the coat time is on this. So technically I could go ahead and add another coat here right now. I'm gonna let it dry another 30 minutes, come back and do another like skim coat just to kind of get rid of, there's a little bit of waves. Just when you have the smooth walls, you have to make sure that it's perfect. But if you don't have smooth walls, right there, that's all you need, one coat. As long as you leave it looking nice, you can always come back, do another coat if you need it. But that's it, guys. Get your hole repaired, and now it's ready for primer, paint, and you're good to go. And it took us about an hour if you only have to do one coat. But yeah, guys, we got our hole fixed from the plumbing. And if you like the video, please hit that like down below, guys. Hit that subscribe. Tell me what you think. If you have any tips or tricks for the drywall repairs, let me know. I'm always reading the comments, and I appreciate you guys. And as always, thank you guys for watching. And if this helped, again, hit that like and that subscribe down below.
Alright guys, and I did end up doing a second coat just because we have the smooth walls and they had to be perfect. Definitely something you guys can do at home when you have a repair like this.